Creature Commandos is the first project in James Gunn's DC universe. It was incredible. Absolutely great. There's been some doubts about James Gunn running an entire universe on DC, but I'm going to talk all about that later on in the video, so if you'd like to stick around for a James Gunn discussion, I'm here. But for this first half, I'm just going to do a spoiler-free overlook on the series itself, or the season I should say. What I saw with it is that it has a lot of similarities to Suicide Squad, but thankfully James Gunn didn't just make the exact same thing over again. And the great thing about it is we have returning characters from that movie that still are fleshed out in this show. And that's the best thing that this show does, is it fleshes its characters out really, really well. So much to the point where you sympathize for them, for these villains. These people are being locked up for real reasons. The animation, there was left a lot of room for improvement. It was not the best. It really didn't matter in retrospect because some of the scenes that occurred, especially the action scenes, were just fantastic. Really, really good. I think the voice acting was great. There's so much emotion in it. The characters, like I said, the voice acting really brings those characters together. I think the episodes are paced really well. Each episode focuses on one character of the Creature Commandos, back and forth their backstory whilst also moving the plot along. So this show is fantastic at showing you the soft side of these people, how they got these conditions, how they ended up in prison, their backstory, how much they care about the people around them, and then it also is really good at showing you how evil these people can be. But overall, it's fantastic. If you enjoy things like the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy, you're gonna love this. It's very James Gunn-esque in that sort, where it's perfectly quirky, it's perfectly funny, it's perfectly gory, and it's perfectly well written. Not perfectly well written, but you get what I was saying. But I want to go into episode talk now, so I will be talking about spoilers. If you haven't already seen the show, which I'm quite late to as it is, I'm not going to have the best memory on what happened, but I know episode 1 was my least favorite. There wasn't really much character development in it. It was sort of just setting the show up, setting up the plot, what's going to happen throughout, what these people are here for. Episode 2, I believe, the brides episode, great. It was scary, it was spooky, it justified why the bride is such a closed person, why she's just mean to everyone, because she doesn't want to make herself vulnerable again like she did the last time she was happy. But yeah, all in all, it was really good, very emotional. But as far as the subplot went in that episode, or I guess you could call that the subplot, but as far as the other stuff went in the episode, it was alright. It was sort of cookie cutter. I didn't really feel for it. I enjoyed that the team is not constantly getting along. That's something that they nailed very well, especially with the fight between Dr. Phosphorus and Rick. Episode 3, one of my favorite episodes, the GI Robot episode, almost had me in tears, and that's not a joke. This silly little episode about this robot fighting Nazis, all he wants to do is fight Nazis. We then see everything that he's gone through over a plethora of years, and then seeing him actually build this human emotion for these people that have taken him in, for that to then move along the plot where they had to kill all these people, and GI Robot was told that these bad people were Nazis. For him to get up there and start shooting all of them with all of his friends by his side, him reminiscing of the old days when he was with his crew, I was like, oh, I'm so happy for him. Bang, he blew up and he died. Wow, James Gunn. Episode 4, Weasel's episode. Wow. Wow, dude. Oh my god. I don't know if I ever did a The Suicide Squad review, but when I first started the movie, I thought Weasel would be such an annoying character that I would just hate. A comic relief whose comedy I didn't really understand, but then he turned out to be one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. I thought he was really cute, thought it was really funny, and in this episode, I was excited to see him in the Creature Commandos again. I was like, yay! And his backstory is so depressing. He's this ugly little guy, and then these kids took liking to him, and it's like the first time he felt comfortable being seen. He doesn't mind being out in the sunlight for everyone to see him when he's playing with these kids. He's making them happy. He's happy. For them to go and like start that fire, or for that fire to start, and then the cops being there, and they're like, oh, he's killed all these kids, them shooting him, it was just punch in the gut. And for him to get out of that fire alive with all those kids dying, sad. Another thing that happened in the episode was the vision of the Justice League on the pikes, which, great. Episode 5, one that I can't really remember well. What I do remember, it was probably the weakest episode. It was the one with Clayface in it when Frankenstein had that fight with Clayface, which is always cool to see. I haven't seen Clayface since freaking Arkham City. And then of course you have the infamous scene of Dr. Phosphorus going through that tank, flipping him off. Can't remember all the details. Definitely a filler episode, at least in my eyes. Now episode 6, the episode I think everyone was waiting for, the Dr. Phosphorus backstory episode. Easily one of the best characters in this show. He's like this really cool, snarky guy throughout with all the quips. He's really likable in that sense. And then you also have him being one of the most insane people, where he almost enjoys killing by the seams of it. Him being forced to see his dead wife and kid was so tough. And him being put in that machine, his technology turned him into what he became. And his revenge story was just great. So now as an audience, watching all these sly, snarky remarks, we know that it's just a mask that's being put over this man's deep, dark trauma. And it's just incredibly written. Episode 7, the Nina episode. We got Nina's backstory. Her whole life, she knew the one person who cared about her and loved her was her father, then she had to watch him die. If I'm remembering correctly, the princess was the first person she had to kill. She failed ultimately. Nina died. Rest in peace, Nina. Great character, really good character. So it was sad to see her go, but if she hadn't have gone, it would have been much worse, because turns out they didn't actually need to kill the princess. But that's pretty much my episode talk. And overall, I think the show is so good. It's dark. It blew me away by how dark it was. It also blew me away by how well written it was. And overall, as a show, I would give it an 8 out of 10. So character rankings of all the creatures in the Creature Commandos. I'm not going to do a full character rating. I would go the Bride at dead last, maybe this version of Weasel, and then put G.I. Robot, then Nina, then Dr. Phosphorus, I think. I'm not going to put Frankenstein or Rick on there because I kind of didn't like either of them. But yeah, that's pretty much my review on Creature Commandos. Very good. Now, I want to have a bit of a James Gunn discussion. We are finally getting Superman this year. Now, there's been some speculation around James Gunn. Is he really going to be able to create this world and stick with it and it be good? Is this man's world really going to be bigger than the MCU? And for that, I say yes. Creature Commandos is pretty much the exact same thing as the Suicide Squad, but he made it different. It didn't feel like a repeat of the exact same thing. Even the returning characters, as I said, didn't feel reused. And that in and of itself, it's a great feat to have. It's a big feather in your cap, sir. Some things were mentioned in this that take place in like Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, therefore making those things part of the DCU. So he's already started this world building. Now, my biggest speculation about this is that James Gunn is doing a lot of like solo projects to start with. What is concerning me is the fact that there is no team-ups as of yet. But only time will tell. I will definitely do a Superman Legacy review. It's one of my most anticipated movies of this year. But I won't see you till then. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.